But so I guess my first question is, I mean, how did the Christmas Story thing? How did that all that come to you originally?
Well, I mean, I was in other films already, and
Right.
I was coming home from shooting KidCo,
Mhm.
and Bob wanted to see me for it.
Mhm.
So I went in, and I mean, basically we just sat down and we bullshitted for about a half an hour. He goes, "You hungry?" Okay. He said, "Come on, I'll take you and your dad for lunch." So the three of us went to lunch, came back. He said, "Okay, thanks. It's been great meeting you." Okay. We left. By the time I got to my agent's office, he called already. I got the movie.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I mean, there was no reason for him to have me read dialogue because
Right.
he just saw me on screen, so it was a complete waste of time.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
He just wanted to see if I was like a cool, normal kid.
Nice. Nice. And then, I mean, because I'm particularly interested. Like, I went back and like I've seen those. I've seen KidCo and the toy like so many times, right? I remember just growing up and just catching them on HBO or whatever, and just always was so blown away with like KidCo and the toy, for example. I mean, and your performances are so great, and you hit such a level of emotion in those movies too. I mean, where did the acting bug come from for you?
I sort of always had it because I was a fan of movies growing up, and I
Hmm.
would do impersonations, and I would do scenes from movies by myself, and I would listen as a kid. I would actually put on audio tape because I used to bike to school. I put on audio tape, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, Airplane, History of the World, you know, and I would listen to them back and forth. So it just kind of was just there.
Gotcha. And so you're a big Mel Brooks fan, huh?
Big Nut Brooks fan.
Nice, nice. And in the Christmas Story, where was that shot?
We shot in a little bit in Cleveland, the
Hmm?
exteriors of the Ralphie Parker house, and
Right.
then we shot the school in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is a little town between Toronto and Buffalo.
Uh huh.
And then all the interiors of the Parker house was shot at the soundstage in Toronto.
Okay. And have you had since? I mean, because I know that in our emails you've obviously you've been through Detroit. You have people here, But have you ever had a time to make a pilgrimage back to the house since they opened the museum?
Oh, sure. We went to the grand opening of the museum. We were there a couple times. We'll be there again this Thanksgiving for Christmas Story Convention weekend.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we did get back there.
Awesome. And then I'm sure you know that they did this weird direct-to-video kind of Christmas Story 2 movie recently. I was wondering if you had seen that, and what were your thoughts?
I wouldn't see it if you paid me. It was just a money grab. They shot it as cheaply as humanly possible
Uh-huh.
just to have something else to sell, throw on Blu-ray, package it up with Christmas Story again.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what they did. I mean, nothing against Daniel Stern or anybody else who was in the movie, but the bulk of the fans, especially ones on Facebook, are just so anti-screwing with the first one.
Right.
People like, why would they do this? Why would they do this? If they're going to do this, why don't they do an updated version with all the original kids, and now they're adults and they have kids?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And of course,
Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. But, that wasn't to be. So, the fans just revolted basically against it.
Sure. Sure.
You know.
Yeah. And then, so tell me about, I'm sure, I mean, you've been asked about it a gazillion times, I'm sure, but so tell me about the tongue thing.
Well, there was a real pole, and then there was a piece of plastic that they had painted to make it look like a pole over it, with a small hole about the size of your pinky nail. And there was a tube that came from it, went down inside the pole, the plastic part, into the sand where they had like a little vacuum, motor.
Sure.
When you turn the motor on, just the vacuum cleaner, you just get stuck, like when you put your hand in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept, but very small.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
there was no actual pain. There was no I was really stuck. No, I pulled the tongue away many times.
Gotcha. And so, and how many takes on a shot like that, on that scene? How many times you guys rehearsed it, go through it?
Not almost no rehearsal. I mean, Bob was really he was a reactionary director.
Mm-hmm.
Do this, do your thing. We'll see how you do. I'll tell you to bring it up, bring it down, whatever. And is everybody ready? Okay, let's go. And that was it. We shot, the first time we shot it, it took 12 and a half hours.
Sure.
And that was for the entire bit. then they came about 2 weeks later, and they said, well, we got good news and bad news. The good news is you're going to be with us a few extra days. The bad news is we underdeveloped the film. Came out dark. We have to do it all over again.
Oh, no.
So the second time we did it, it took 11 and a half hours.
Nice. So, I mean, in your expertise, in your perspective, was the first time any better than the second one, or?
Yeah, they were pretty close to the same. I once I got started and did things, and Bob liked this or like that, I stayed pretty close to the vest, so to speak, and just kept doing what I was doing.
Sure.
So between the first time and the second time, it might have taken me a couple of takes just to get it back, just to remember what we did, because it was 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
But, it came out the way it was supposed to.
And so doing that, obviously in that scene, we hear Flick talking, and so, I mean, was that stuff in the script, or was that stuff that you guys sort of improv, or was that on the mention of, on the insistence of Bob? Like, how did all that work?
That was Bob saying, do you have any ideas for this? Well, I said, well, yeah, I said, yeah. He said, well, because I had doing the film with Gleason and Pryor, ad-libbing was a part of it, so I knew how to ad-lib. And he said to me, he said, you know what, just run with it. Go for it, do whatever you want to do, and let's see how it works.
Uh-huh.
So that was all me improving all that stuff, because all it says is Flick gets tongue stuck to pole. That's it. So the rest is all me.
Sure. And I can't recall, but did we ever find out why? I can't remember, but did we ever find out why his name was Flick, or what was the meaning behind that?
No, just a nickname.
Just a nickname. Did you ever, give that character any background or history in terms of maybe why you thought he was called that?
No, he was just buddies with Ralphie. That was it.
Sure.
Just one of the boys.
Nice. And at what point did you realize, I mean, it's sort of a cliche, right, where, you get asked the question of, like, did you know you were in a classic film? So I'm not going to ask that, but, I mean, at what point did you realize that it had become a classic film, I guess, in a sense? And what was the point when you realized that it had become something other than just this little movie?
When they started making action figures with lunchboxes and a Monopoly board and the rest of the stuff. Once you start hitting that merchandise level, that's really when it hit. And that was already the 5th or 6th year it was on. At the time, it was on TBS 24/7.
Right.
24 hours for the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of the switch. It took about 5 years of being on the marathon for it to really explode. I mean, it did well, did better, and I mean, they kept showing it, so it was great.
Right.
But then once the merchandising really hit, it sort of took it to a different level.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think gives the film such a sort of timeless appeal for audiences? Because I mean, it's one of those films that my generation enjoys, my generation before me enjoys, but also kids that have come after me too. So I mean, what do you think makes it have such a timeless appeal?
It's a multi-generational movie, meaning grandmas and grandpas remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have kids that are still growing up, but they see Christmas. They see something that this kid wants. And everybody's lived it. Everybody's had that one holiday they wanted that something special.
Sure.
So it's something that just reaches everybody. There's not one person doesn't say, oh, I had this one year and this is what happened.
Yeah.
Everybody always has a story about something.
Yeah. Right.
But, it's something that, most movies, kids will watch with their parents.
Uh-huh.
There's not very many movies kids will watch with their parents and grandparents.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. I mean, there's people that have parties over the holidays, Christmas story parties for Christmas Eve to Christmas Day. I mean, and they'll start the party at 8 o'clock at night Eastern time because that's when the thing starts, and they'll go till 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and just have it on all night.
Sure. Absolutely.
And there are fans. Yeah, I just found this out actually last week. Jerry the King Lawler.
Uh-huh, yeah, the wrestler, right, uh-huh.
Yeah, hang on while the phone is
okay.
ringing. I'm on the phone in an interview. Can you pick up the phone, please? Well, hold on. Hello.
Okay.
So Jerry the King Lawler, the wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the guy on WWE Raw.
Right.
Met him last weekend, and we're chit-chatting, whatever, and I tell him, well, you're not going to believe this. He says, somebody yesterday just asked me my favorite movie of all time. It's a Christmas Story. He thought I was kidding. He thought somebody was setting him up.
Right, right.
And I said, no, you know, this me and blah, blah, blah. So his girlfriend says, yeah. He says, we have a leg lamp at the house in the window, and it sits there all year long in the front window. And December 1st, Jerry turns the light on. And he runs it all the way through the holidays.
That's nice. I mean, that's going to make...
So, I mean...
Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's just one of the crazy things, I don't want to say crazy, but nice things that people do. They just love this movie.
Sure. But I mean, you know, as an actor, right? And also as a human being, like, I mean, how does that make you feel, you know, to have been such part of this iconic or this sort of, you know, immortal movie? Like, I mean, how does that make you feel?
How would it make you feel? I mean, it is what it is. I was a small part in an ensemble cast,
mm-hmm.
you know, and it's a wonderful movie. And the fact that it's done what it's done, it's far beyond what anybody ever thought. I mean, there's thousands of movies every year. They throw them up on the wall, and 99.9% of them just fall to the ground, and that's the end of it.
Right.
But when you get something that sticks, and it sticks for time, I mean, this is our 30th anniversary, and people can't wait for this thing to go on again.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell them, I say, if you can't wait till December, you know, it's on DVD. And
right.
they go, oh, no, we have it. We watch it like 8 times a year, and then we wait for Christmas. I'm like, oh, my God. You know,
sure.
Listen, it's lucky, it's wonderful, there's not enough, you know, adjectives to say how incredible it is to be a part of something that will last way beyond my years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like asking Charlton Heston, hey, what was it like being in Ten Commandments? You know, because that's an iconic film.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
You know, he's gone and the movie is still here and we still watch it.
Sure.
You know, you could say it to Gary Cooper about High Noon or Pride of the Yankees. I mean, there's so many examples of it, of really good filmmaking.
Sure.
And the thing was, is Bob, you know, as crazy as it sounds, he had done so many things that were so different from this.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
You know, Children Don't Play with Dead Things.
Yes.
And what's the other one? The one with Margot Kidder.
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas. And then he does Porky's. I mean, these are movies that are just so way off base from what this is.
Sure.
But he's standing there, and MGM, who had done Porky's with him, you know,
mm-hmm.
they wanted him to do Porky's too. And he said, well, I want to make my movie. And they said, well, what's that? He goes, A Christmas Story. They said, great, listen, you can do that right after Porky's too. And he goes, no. He goes, this is my time to do my movie my way.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do it. And here Bob, you know, with Gene Shepard's writing and all of this, comes up with this unbelievable movie that if you asked 100 people, 98 of them would not have a clue that Bob Clark did A Christmas Story and Porky's. They wouldn't figure it out.
Right, I know, right?
They'd be like, you have to be kidding. No,
yeah.
but that's completely in that. That's what he, you know. And you know, you tell people Children Don't Play with Dead Things, like, Black Christmas, nah. But when you say Porky's, they go, oh my God, the same guy, really?
Yeah.
You know, so Bob in his own way was one of those directors who, did he have hits? Yes. Did he have bombs? Hey, listen, you know, we all saw Rhinestone, but and that's not even Bob's fault. The funny part is they did several weeks of shooting with somebody else,
right, mm-hmm.
and then hired Bob.
Yeah,
because they offered him a fortune. They offered like $2 or $3 million for him to finish this thing up. He goes, really? All right, fine, whatever. You know, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumb. Sure, I'll do it.
Sure, absolutely.
But that he comes up with this, and it's so good. There is not one bad scene in the film.
No, absolutely not.
You know, and the shame of it is he was not in the age of digital, because everything was film, and if they didn't